Welcome to In My Feelings with Big Waz, a safe space to talk all things NBA, presented by TheRinger.com. This being our first show ever, you guys might be wondering what to expect from this show. Just an honest, candid, forthright conversation about the NBA. We're going to hold people accountable, including ourselves, have a lot of fun, but just be honest, because this is going to be an honest space. We're going to keep it real, but we're going to keep it fun and light as well. I look forward to doing this with you guys. Let's go. All right, let's get right into our first segment. This is a little ditty we like to call Gaslighter of the Week, where we find somebody in the NBA who's clearly taking us for a long walk. And the first person up on the Summer Jam screen, none other than Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors, who is now back from a 12-game hiatus, suspension, sabbatical, whatever you want to call it. And Draymond decided that the way that he would talk about his return is on his podcast, The Draymond Green Show, and a podcast it was. Just some very memorable moments from this pod. And I want to talk about some of my favorite ridiculous BS moments from the pod. Just to name a couple, it's kind of endless, honestly. We whittled it down to a few that I think you guys would enjoy. First up, Draymond Green. He got suspended for hitting Nurkic in the face during a game for no reason, and on the podcast, he described it as, I connected with Nurkic. Not I punched him, not I hit him, I connected with him. The way that I might describe seeing an old friend from high school or college and getting coffee with them. Draymond Green punched a guy, and he described it as connecting. Another classic moment from this podcast, Draymond talks about, at the beginning of his suspension, he spent 2 days down in his man cave. And again, this is a self-imposed exile in his own basement. He said his 3-year-old daughter FaceTimed him, and that's the only reason he got out. This is the quote he said.
Daddy, you in the man cave. I said, I am.
Draymond Green literally wants us to believe that the only reason he left his dark, secluded, think of like Batman, Bruce Wayne in the man cave, like just Draymond in like a tank top and boxers, just eating corn chips all day and watching First Take. His 3-year-old daughter got him out of his self-imposed exile in his basement. I just thought that was incredible stuff. Another incredible, unbelievable moment. Draymond says that Steve Kerr came to visit him at his house and they cried together on each other's shoulders. They cried, guys. Draymond, because he can't stop himself from putting people in headlocks and giving them noogies, kicking people in the nuts, punching his own teammates, punching Nurkic in the face for no reason during the game. Steve Kerr has to go to his house and they have to cry together on their shoulder because this guy can't manage to play the NBA in a way that 99.99999% of players do. Incredible stuff. Steve Kerr with the Kleenex on Draymond's deck. Another great moment of this, monologue, soliloquy, whatever you want to call it, this being In My Feelings, and we take mental health really seriously on this show, as you can tell. Draymond was using a lot of mental health jargon. He talked about breakthroughs. He talked about holding himself accountable. He talked about growth. Growth was a big theme of this, but one of my very favorite quotes when Draymond described his new sort of approach to life and the game of basketball, he said,
and so I made a commitment in those days to be a champion of change.
I think Draymond doesn't understand these themes, these phrases. Like when people are champions of change, it's like Rosa Parks, like Martin Luther King, right? It's like Nelson Mandela, right? Ending apartheid. These people were champions of change. Draymond Green is literally just talking about not being a complete psychopath on an NBA basketball court. That he would use this language is just like, wow, just incredible stuff. Last but certainly not least, of course, he talked about speaking on the phone with Adam Silver. Constantly, he's in communication with Adam Silver. He told Adam Silver he contemplated retirement. He said, quote, "This is too much for me, Adam. I gotta retire." Guys, this is complete bullshit. Draymond Green has over $100 million left on his contract. The idea that this guy was gonna walk away from $100 million again because he's being asked not to punch people in the face and put people in headlocks during NBA games is absurd. This is like presented to us unironically. Like Draymond really wants us to take this serious. And again, you guys can watch this whole interview for yourselves. I think it's actually worth watching to just see the hand gestures and the head and I was so hurt when Stephen A gave a take about Steph. It was the hemming and hawing and the melodrama. And it's just like so absurd and over the top. And the reason why I feel comfortable saying this, and I don't know Draymond Green personally, there was another guy on the Warriors who's kind of been going through it this year in a different way, in his own way, and that's Klay Thompson. Essentially, he's not happy about how his contract negotiations have gone with the Warriors. He's been moping around the entire season about it, and he gives this great interview at the end of a game where he's just straight up just honest and candid and raw and emotional and like just human in a way. There's no looking directly into camera and shaking your fist. He's just being a guy. And so to watch Klay Thompson do that, again, not somebody who went and punched teammates and, started fights and did all of this stuff. He's just literally been moping around and he's not proud of his attitude around the team. To see the contrition that this guy could show, humility that this guy could show behind that, which is obviously way more understandable, and you juxtapose that against his teammate Draymond Green, is hilarious. And that's why Draymond is our gaslighter of the week. All right, next up, we're going to get into facts or feelings. This segment is pretty self-explanatory. I put out a general statement, and I basically argue with myself whether this is a fact or if I'm just in my feelings about this. I'm going to put this out there to you guys. Is Giannis Antetokounmpo kind of full of crap? No, seriously, guys. I think you guys will remember last year after the Bucks got pantsed and embarrassed by the Miami Heat in the first round of the playoffs, a Bucks team that was pretty heavily favored to go to the finals last year, might I add. And after this just embarrassment of a loss in the playoffs, Giannis says,
"Oh my God, there's no failure in sports. There's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful. Some days you're not. Some days it's your turn, some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about. You don't always win."
No, Giannis, by that definition, there are no failures. Of course it's a failure. But, he's been kind of doing this thing where he says these ridiculous sort of quotes and people just go with it to the point where Nike even did a commercial, which I thought was nuts. The idea that we be encouraging athletes to not want to succeed and that they should embrace failing. But whatever, I'm getting far afield here. Giannis did a one-on-one with my guy, Eric Neem of The Athletic, former colleague of mine, one of the best in the business. He's definitely the most plugged-in Milwaukee Bucks journalist that there is. Giannis gave him a one-on-one. This is after another embarrassing Bucks defeat, and he gave this quote. And this is why I'm wondering if this guy is full of crap. Let me read this to you guys really quickly. "We have to be better. We have to play better. We have to defend better. We have to trust one another better. We have to be coached better. Every single thing. Everybody has to be better. Everybody. It starts from the equipment manager. He has to wash our clothes better. The bench has to be better. The leaders of the team have to be more vocal. We have to make more shots. We have to defend better. We have to have a better strategy. We have to be better. We have 4 months to get better, so let's see." This man said they need to wash his jockstrap better. Literally. After a poor performance. What is this? What are we supposed to do with this? This idea that everybody needs to be better. Of course, that's just a general theme that you hear in sports all the time. We have to be better. But these Giannis quotes are just becoming more mystifying and mystifying. Bro, the changes that were made from up top were made with you in mind. Not that Giannis has been some horrible player this year. He's been playing great. Some people would say he's even playing at an MVP level, but leave the equipment manager out of it, please, in the future. That's all we ask. It's Giannis's job to be the leader of this team, to be the person that's, sort of setting the tone. I understand why he feels the need to make these statements, and he doesn't want to be Debbie Downer when they do have setbacks throughout the season. But yeah, man, play better defense, be more accountable to one another on the court. Leave, the lowest man on the freaking totem pole out of this, Mr. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yes, it's a fact. This guy's full of crap. All right, let's just do a general vibe check right now with the Memphis Grizzlies, who, as you guys all know, Ja Morant, it's been announced that he's going to miss the rest of the season because he's got a torn labrum in his shoulder. Obviously, he had the 25-game suspension, and the Grizzlies sort of stumbled out the gate, 6-19. But when he came back, there were positive signs, and there were signs that this thing was going to be turned around, and to have this setback, it kind of sucks. But I think it's kind of cool that the Grizzlies do have other young guys who are obviously of high quality, high talent. And I think the season doesn't have to be a waste of one. I think their meaning can be derived from this season with guys like Desmond Bane, with guys like Jaren Jackson, who are going to be leading the future for the Grizzlies. And they still got guys like Luke Kennard to see what he can do going forward. I just don't think they have to necessarily pack it up. I'm somebody who doesn't believe that, everything has to be about your lottery odds and getting a better asset. I think culture does matter. And this team establishing themselves as somebody who's serious and, we're not just going to come out and lay down because Ja Morant isn't here. I think that would be better for their overall team culture and chemistry, just establishing that as a baseline. Like, no matter who's in or out of the lineup, we're a professional outfit, and we carry ourselves that way. And so, I know things might be looking grim right now for Memphis and their fans. I think this will still be an opportunity for guys who are still leaders on this team and going to be a big part of things going forward, for them to step up and, not be a doormat this year. And so, definitely going to still be watching out for what Memphis does throughout this season. Obviously, it's sad that Ja Morant won't be playing, but I think they're still in a strong position to be, a really good team next year and be a contender for years to come. All right, that's our show for today. Remember, In My Feelings will be coming right at you every single Friday on the Ringers YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the Ringers YouTube page. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure you're sharing this on your Instagram, on your Facebook, on your Snapchat. If you're still doing that, TikTok me. Do whatever you got to do, man, to get the word out there for the show. We will see you guys next time. Peace.
I've had been therapy before. And no pun intended, it's been so therapeutic.